Hey, this is Foxy again. Hope I'm not becoming a nuisance to my few subscribers. But if anybody else kind of sees this, okay. So what the heck's going on there? A wood oven made out of wood. Well, I wouldn't suggest doing this at home unless you got plenty of time to sit around and make sure nothing happens. But I have sort of an oval-shaped fire pit with a horseshoe collar, and I built the other side of the collar with wood to create an oven space. Now, why would I do something like that? Well, I would do something like that is because I forgot to take my chicken out of the freezer. So what I did is I took the big blob of chicken thighs, a dozen of them, stuck together, as big as a small turkey. I put it in the back, had a fire in the front, in what's called an indirect heating method. Okay, it sort of was like a defrost, thaw thing. It took a while. That's why I didn't do any of this, because I had to keep turning it and I didn't want to get a bunch of chicken juice on my phone. And from the previous video I just made, evidently I'm neither good at cooking one-handed or am I very good at being a camera person. So today I'll just singly it. Curly's Law from that movie, I forget the name of the movie. But Curly's Law, just do one thing. Well, what is that one thing? Whatever it is, do it. Just do it. Do one thing, do it right, and then move on. All this multitasking stuff that we are taught that's supposed to be good, no, it causes chaos, causes rush. Everybody's rushing to get done, get done, get done. This cooked chicken is pretty much cooking by itself. If you've ever grilled chicken, you know just a drip of grease can cause a flame up. Flame up causes more grease, and the next thing you know, you turned your head and your hair's on fire. No, the chicken's on fire. Geez, even when you put it out, you can't really eat it. But here we go. It's just making this little gentle sizzling sound all the way in the back. None of those coals are anywhere near that chicken, and the wood is slightly arcing over the top to the point where the chicken, the face of the chicken is about at the face of the wood. So you stick your hand in there, it's hot, but it's not real hot enough to be able to turn 3 or 4 chickens without moving your hand. I'm gonna have to work on that. I think I'm gonna have to get longer kitchen implements. But here we are. So back to the thing about your diet. You know, we are what we eat. I like to think I'm not foul, nor am I a chicken, but I'm protein. Okay, I'm glycine. Okay, things in that skin. We're taught not to eat the skin, not to eat the fat. Well, the protein's fine, but we need the skin, we need the fat. Okay, chew around the bone. Shoot, take all those dozen bones and throw it in a pot, simmer it for a day, and just drink it, man. Bone broth. Okay, any sort of bone broth from a healthy animal. Again, you have to know your source. Healthy animal, pasture-fed kind of stuff. No GMO fed. You know, everything filters down. Not only are you what you eat, but you are what you eat at. If that makes any sense. But yeah, what those chickens eat, if those chickens eat and poop, then they're not going to really do nothing for you. Okay, what we want them to do is we want the chickens to be healthy, And we don't want them to be filled with chemicals that will stay in your system. Okay? So, if anyone experiences health problems, a lot of times these problems either start from or can be enhanced by what's called gut permeability. And the gut permeability is sometimes caused by the consumption of grains. Okay, now the grains aren't broken down all the way in our stomach with stomach acid, and if you can think of them as being a big giant chain, our stomach breaks down the grains into little short pieces of chain, and then that chain comes flying through our intestines and rips whatever's in that intestine like you're cleaning out a pipe. Well, you don't want the pipe to be cleaned quite so thoroughly. Think of your intestines as a rolled up shag rug with all that fuzz in there, and your little microbes hang on the little fuzz, and as the nutrients float by, they grab onto them and they continue their process, chemically emitting some sort of nutrition through your intestine wall. Well, as the grains rip through your intestines day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, that shag rug turns into a tile floor. And then the spaces in between the tiles become where it's called gut permeability, where not just the smallest particles go through your intestine walls, but actually undigested proteins and other things that aren't broken down in your stomach with the stomach acid. Well, those proteins will escape into your body, and they'll collect in various areas and cause health problems. Now, one of those health problems is arthritis, which is what I had been diagnosed with. Okay? Now, these proteins go into your joints, and then your immune system sees them as an invader, which it is. It's supposed to be not. Food's not supposed to be floating around in your body. Now, it doesn't look like food, you understand, but it's not broken down completely as it should be, and it should not be floating around in your body. So your immune system sees it as an invader and attacks it. Okay, now once this happens a few times, it's on alert, and that's what's referred to as autoimmune. Okay, arthritis is an autoimmune disease. Now, there's other autoimmune diseases such as, say, Parkinson's disease. I think is considered autoimmune, and there are a few more that of course, when I'm on the clock here, I can't remember offhand. But what happens is, whatever our weakest link in our metabolic chain. Okay, now some people might have gotten Parkinson's where I had gotten arthritis. Lupus is also considered an autoimmune disease. So anybody that has an autoimmune disease, what I would do if I was you would be to try to give up grains. Okay, there are a couple books that are written. One's David Perlmutter, and it's called Grain Brain. And then there's another guy, I can't remember his name offhand, but he's got one that's called Wheat Belly. There are two books that I would recommend. Now, I don't read books, sorry, But each one of these gentlemen have multiple YouTube videos that you should be able to find with seminars and lectures on each one of these books and the idea behind them. So first thing to health is cut out the greens, okay? That's what you got to do, is you got to cut out the greens. Now, once you cut out the greens, you're introducing healthy fat. That's what you need to introduce, because the greens are turned into sugar. The sugar is your fuel. If you don't replace the fuel, you will find yourself famished and hungry all the time. You start training your body to burn fat as opposed to sugar as a main fuel source. You'll find your appetite go to nothing. People look at you and say, well, aren't you hungry? No, I'm not hungry. And there's something wrong with you because you're not hungry? Geez, I walk to the store, there's people standing at the bus stop with like backpacks that are filled with food and hands and bags and sodas and... Geez, I mean, really, like, is it really necessary to have like 3 days worth of food for a half-an-hour bus trip? That's because they're so hungry because they're not getting the right nutrients, okay? If you don't have the right gut bacteria, not only will the grains cause the shag rug to be diminished, it'll cause less area for population of these nutrient absorbing microbes, if that's a proper way to put it. So what you want to do is you want to fix your gut. Okay, now that's a bone broth is good for anybody who does that. Okay, it's easy on your stomach. Okay, just look up bone broth and gut healing. Look up a gut healing diet. There's a called a GAPS diet. The GAPS diet is for anybody who's really compromised. I started out pretty much as a GAPS diet. Give and take, little here, little there. I never gave up dairy products. Okay, there's a thing about casein being real bad. Well, I've discovered that if I drink raw milk, it's not as bad. Okay, now the raw milk is non-pasteurized, and so the enzymes are still in the milk, and the enzymes help you to digest the milk. So when I pasteurize it, it kills the very thing that helps you digest it to begin with. And I don't see that as a good thing. So I'm raw milk. I actually went to goat's milk a couple of years ago. So I'm raw goat's milk and mostly carnivore. MC Foxy. Last night, after I had my steak, I had 1 or 2 handfuls of almonds with some honey and cinnamon. And that's all I ate yesterday. Say, wow, look at those 2 big steaks you had. Well, I shared them, first of all. And second of all I ate the whole rest of the day was 2 handfuls of almonds and some honey and cinnamon. And that's pretty wild, you know what I mean? So, yeah, yesterday about 12:30, it was a breakfast. You know, break fast. I broke my fast, which intermittent fasting is also something you might want to look into. Intermittent fasting. What they say is your body is always trying to heal itself, okay? But doing one thing at a time, as I spoke of before, your body likes to do only one thing at a time as well. And one thing it can do is heal or digest. Now, do you want it to heal or do you want it to digest? Okay, if they're trying to do the 2 things together, nothing really happens completely. So, if you can do all your eating in a short period of time, you know, maybe a few hours apart, but then have 12 hours in between or so, or even more, which is better, then that's called intermittent fasting. So your body will digest the food that's in there, and then when you go to sleep at nighttime, it'll go into a healing mode. Okay, if you wake up like, or eat a big snack before you go to bed, your body's digesting that food while you're sleeping, and the best time to heal is while you're asleep. So you just pretty much pulled the plug on your healing process, and you wonder why you wake up tired. And then you're hungry because your insulin was working all night too, reducing your blood sugar. So you say, oh, you don't have to, I'm starving. What time's breakfast? Well, I was up at 6 o'clock yesterday morning. I didn't eat until 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So to go 7 hours without having to eat, I mean, I wasn't starving myself. Oh, aren't you hungry? No, I'm not hungry. When I'm hungry, I'll eat. And when I'm hungry, I'm allowed to eat as much as I want, anytime I want. And if you just reduce the amount of things that you eat and have them all available for when you are hungry. Now, with the nuts, I also eat a lot of chocolate, but you have to be careful with chocolate. I've only found one chocolate bar that's acceptable in my opinion, which is called Lindt, Lindts. Anything 85% and above has no soy in it whatsoever. Soy is another thing you want to avoid. Not only is it 99% GMO, but it's also highly glycogenic. It hurts your thyroid, and somehow works in a way where it disrupts your, I'm not sure if that's the endocrine system, throws your hormones out, and it makes little boys into little girls and little girls into little boys somehow. That can be all argued. As with the wheat, not only is the wheat itself bad for you, but the fact that farmers many times will spray their fields with what's called glyphosate in order for it to all die at the same time, so it's easier to harvest, instead of it all in various areas that might have more sun or better drainage that ages in different times, and some of it'll be past due on harvest time, some of it'll be still green at harvest time. So they spray the whole thing at once, whoosh. So when you're talking like whole grain this and whole grain that, you're pretty much having glyphosate soup. If you're not familiar with glyphosate, there's an MIT scientist by the name of Stephanie Seneff, and you might want to look at some of her work. There's a couple really good interviews with her on this Patrick Timpone, OneRadioNetwork.com. That's where I got a lot of my stuff. He has a lot of good interviews with a lot of cutting-edge nutritionists and health experts. So that's my little thing for the day. Now, as you notice, I'm not running around today because because we're on slow cook. Indirect heating method for chicken. It works the best for me. Now, when this is all done, when I'm satisfied that these are cooked, now they're going to cook very slowly because they were completely frozen as a block. Okay, so now the bones on ones in furthest in the back might be still a little cold. So I'm going to move the back ones closer to the front ones closer to the back, spin them, flip them, twist them, stack them, do whatever I got to do till they're done. And then at the very end, I'll slide the grill closer to the coals or pull the coals back. I'd rather slide the grill. And then just brown the skins at the end. And that's it. So, I don't know what my purpose is here. But I can share what I know, and that's what I want to do. Remember, we want to perfect ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. Okay? Pray every day. Eat every day. But you don't have to cry every day. Okay? Have a nice day. I love you guys.